15 shameful ways the palace tried to silence Princess Diana. The relationship between Princess Diana and the British royal family, including her ex-husband King Charles and the late Queen Elizabeth, was extremely complicated. While we may never know all the details over the years, there have been numerous allegations about efforts by Buckingham Palace and the royal household to control and silence Princess Diana. In today's video, we're going to look at 15 questionable ways Buckingham Palace allegedly tried to silence Princess Diana that have been highlighted and reported on over the years, based on insider accounts, investigations, and biographical works examining her time in the royal sphere. Number 1. Media manipulation. There have been extensive accusations over the years that Buckingham Palace and King Charles' communications staff worked systematically to influence media narratives about Princess Diana by portraying her in an unflattering or negative light. Several journalists and biographers have described coordinated efforts to leak information, influence reporters, and sway public perceptions during rocky periods in her marriage and separation from King Charles. It's been alleged these media manipulation efforts increased after Princess Diana's candid interview with Martin Bashir, which proved embarrassing to the royal family. Sources claim palace insiders regularly conducted negative briefings about Princess Diana's mental health, stability, and suitability as a mother in an attempt to undermine her credibility. If true, this media manipulation by the palace and King Charles' allies would have put intense pressure on Princess Diana in her day-to-day life and limited her ability to share her side of the story. Number 2. Isolation. Both during her marriage and after her separation from King Charles, Princess Diana spoke openly about feeling isolated, betrayed, and unsupported within the royal circle. From limiting her royal duties to excluding her from events and social gatherings, many interpreted the palace's treatment of Princess Diana as an active campaign to diminish her voice, influence, and standing within the royal family. By isolating Princess Diana both physically and emotionally, Buckingham Palace and King Charles could restrict who she turned to for support and essentially marginalize her as an exiled outsider. As a stylistic technique, isolation also encouraged Princess Diana's feelings of paranoia and instability by cutting her off from potential allies and friends within the palace. Princess Diana described this profound isolation as one of the most painful parts of her time in the royal spotlight before her and King Charles' eventual divorce. Number 3. Surveillance. There are concerns that Princess Diana was routinely monitored through different forms of surveillance, possibly by palace staff, security detail, or even government intelligence services. This invasive surveillance allegedly included phone tapping, monitoring of her conversations and movements, and violating her privacy to gather information that could be leaked to discredit her reputation. The surveillance claims first emerged around the time of her separation from King Charles, but some accounts suggest it began years earlier as her marriage deteriorated. From Princess Diana's perspective, the surveillance was part of a broad effort to dig up dirt that could be used by King Charles and Buckingham Palace to undermine her in the public eye. If true, this extensive surveillance and invasion of her privacy would have compounded Princess Diana's feelings of isolation and paranoia as she navigated immense fame and scrutiny during an immensely vulnerable period. Number 4. Negative briefings. Over the years, many journalists have come forward describing instances where they received deliberate negative insider briefings from royal sources about Princess Diana. These so-called dark arts efforts allegedly increased after her separation from King Charles as their bitter divorce negotiations played out under the media spotlight. By providing background information, gossip, and strategic leaks that painted Princess Diana in an unflattering light, it appears Buckingham Palace and King Charles' associates tried to influence press narratives to turn public opinion against her. If Princess Diana sought a more favorable divorce settlement or tried to speak openly, the palace could use these media relationships to swiftly respond and discredit her. From Princess Diana's perspective, fighting against this coordinated negative briefing from the palace machine must have felt overwhelming and intimidating. Number 5. Marginalization of royal duties. Princess Diana's public royal duties and appearances were allegedly minimized and strategically controlled by Buckingham Palace, especially after the announced separation between her and King Charles. By reducing her visibility and impact as a working royal, the palace and King Charles could diminish public sympathy for Princess Diana. They also limited opportunities where she could upstage other royals or speak directly to the media and public. While sidelining Princess Diana, supporters of King Charles, like Camilla, could be given greater prominence. The ultimate goal appeared to be tightly managing public perceptions by marginalizing Princess Diana's role, transitioning media attention to King Charles' vision of events and preferred narratives. Princess Diana described this marginalization as isolating and deeply painful, severing important ties to causes she cared about. From the palace's perspective, however, controlling her visibility was likely seen as necessary to protect the monarchy during an extremely turbulent and messy divorce. Number 6. Press leaks. Over the years of conflict between Princess Diana and the royal family, various sensitive and private information was sometimes strategically leaked to the press in ways that could discredit her reputation. This included deeply personal details about her mental health struggles, private conversations, and personal relationships. These harmful press leaks often conveniently emerged just as Princess Diana appeared to gain sympathy or have the upper hand in shaping public narratives around the royals. While the full source of the leak is uncertain, many accounts point to Buckingham Palace, King Charles' staff, or intelligence services as likely coordinators behind the scenes. The goal appears to have been digging up whatever embarrassing information possible that could be subtly passed to friendly journalists and biographers to create scandalous headlines for Princess Diana. This press leak tactic sought to divert public attention during times of crisis for the royals and cast aspersions on Princess Diana's stability and character. Number 7. Limits on interviews. After Princess Diana's explosive 1995 interview with Martin Bashir on the BBC program Panorama, where she openly discussed her mental health and the breakdown of her marriage, there were increased efforts by Buckingham Palace and King Charles to tighten control over her ability to do print and TV interviews. While Princess Diana had some independent relationships with journalists and spoke more openly later in her life, the palace allegedly tried to pressure networks and publishers against providing platforms for her to share her side of the story. Threats of reduced access for royal coverage and other consequences were reportedly communicated behind the scenes. The royal family also designated spokespeople to assign less credibility to Princess Diana's accounts by highlighting her fragile mental state. By limiting Princess Diana's access to prominent interviews in the media, Buckingham Palace and King Charles could attempt to reduce the impact of her bombshell revelations about the dark side of royal life. Number 8. Legal threats. On several occasions, Princess Diana reportedly faced direct and implied legal warnings and threats about potential consequences if she spoke openly about certain topics related to her time in the royal family. These warnings allegedly came both during her marriage and after her divorce from King Charles, and caused Princess Diana to be very cautious while speaking to journalists or considering publishing a tell-all account of her experiences. In addition to threats of lawsuits and gag orders, Princess Diana may have been warned about the possibility of losing custody of her children if she violated the privacy terms of her divorce settlement. While likely based on legitimate legal concerns about confidentiality, some saw these legal threats as heavy-handed efforts by Buckingham Palace and King Charles to intimidate Princess Diana and prevent her from revealing potentially damaging details, especially concerning the breakdown of her marriage and the royals' private lives. Number 9. Financial leverage. The extensive negotiations around Princess Diana's financial settlement during her bitter divorce proceedings from King Charles have been seen by some as deliberate pressure tactics and financial leverage used against her by the palace. The drawn-out fights over money and assets during the separation put Princess Diana in a vulnerable position, dependent on the goodwill of Buckingham Palace and the royal family to finalize the divorce. By dragging out the financial settlement, the palace and King Charles' team could theoretically use the unresolved money matters as leverage, threatening to withhold an agreement if Princess Diana didn't comply with their demands around privacy, media engagement, parenting arrangements, and other areas of contention. While financial negotiations are always complex in high-profile divorces, many believe the royals exploited their superior financial resources and Princess Diana's relative lack of independent wealth to pressure her into accepting an unsatisfactory settlement. Number 10. Social exclusion. In addition to being isolated professionally within the royal sphere, Princess Diana also described painful experiences of personal social exclusion by certain members of the royal family and their inner circle of friends and associates. This involved being left out of social events, ignored at gatherings, and made to feel unwelcome. By cutting off Princess Diana from royal social circles, figures like King Charles and Camilla could undermine the credibility of her experiences and version of events. Without being present for private conversations and interactions, her accounts could more easily be dismissed as exaggerated or filtered through personal biases. Buckingham Palace allowing this social exclusion and isolation also sent a strong symbolic message that Princess Diana was no longer welcome in the elite royal social scene. For Princess Diana, who had already described feeling friendless within the palace, this deliberate social exclusion by erstwhile friends and fellow royals reinforced her outsider status in isolating and humiliating ways. Number 11. Public criticism. On various occasions throughout the tensions leading up to and during Princess Diana's divorce from King Charles, representatives of Buckingham Palace and the royal family openly criticized her actions, choices, and state of mind publicly. This included statements, off-the-record comments, and intentional press leaks painting Princess Diana as mentally unstable, manipulative, dishonest, and unfit for royal duties. By strategically deploying these narratives, the palace could undermine Princess Diana's credibility and cast aspersions on anything she said about her experiences with King Charles and life behind palace doors. Even after her death, the tactic of public criticism continued with comments about her parenting, friends, and judgment. While much of this could be framed as standard PR tactics, many felt the palace went too far by actively seeking to depict Princess Diana as an untrustworthy loose cannon to defend their own reputations. Number 12. Manipulating public appearances. Throughout Princess Diana's time in the public eye, Buckingham Palace and the royal family's communication staff tightly controlled and managed when and how she appeared publicly. This included approving or denying her request to attend events, micromanaging her statements and interactions, and limiting unscripted, unvetted appearances. The level of control escalated after her separation from King Charles and was especially apparent during their divorce proceedings. By strategically limiting Princess Diana's appearances, the palace could prevent situations where she might upstage the royal family, speak candidly to the press, or attract overwhelming public sympathy. While such image management was expected, many felt the palace went to extreme lengths to prevent Princess Diana from looking too popular or gaining an independent public profile. Her public appearances were a key opportunity for emotional connection with the public, so the tight control of her visibility added to Princess Diana's sense of isolation. Number 13. Encouraging negative coverage. Over the years, various authors, journalists, and biographers have claimed they received insider information, encouragement, and access from allies of Buckingham Palace and King Charles to develop projects framing Princess Diana in a harshly negative light. While not officially endorsed by the palace, these unofficial channels allowed the royals to influence narratives while maintaining plausible deniability around smear campaigns. By providing strategic details and off-the-record gossip to writers casting Princess Diana as unstable, vindictive, or unfit, the palace could discredit her version of events and preserve the reputations of King Charles and the monarchy more broadly. However, for Princess Diana, seeing herself depicted in an extremely unflattering manner in books and tabloid articles likely compounded her sense of violation, betrayal, and lack of control over her public persona during an already challenging period. Number 14. Mental health stigmatization. Princess Diana was praised as groundbreaking for speaking candidly about her mental health issues and personal struggles like bulimia and depression. However, some accounts suggest Buckingham Palace later used Princess Diana's openness against her by depicting her as too emotionally fragile to be considered rational or truthful. Once she began speaking openly about marital troubles and life in the palace, any rebuttal could point to her mental health issues as reasons to doubt the accuracy of her recollections. While likely not completely fabricated, this framing appears to have excessively amplified and distorted Princess Diana's mental health struggles to conveniently undermine her credibility. Rather than showing concern for her well-being, the palace response could be seen as opportunistically using Princess Diana's personal health issues against her. From Princess Diana's perspective, this likely made her feel betrayed by the institution that had earlier benefited from her candor and advocacy around removing stigma. Number 15. Undermining her parenting. As the mother of future heirs to the throne, Princess Diana's parenting and influence over Prince William and Harry drew intense public scrutiny. Some accounts indicate Buckingham Palace and King Charles sought to undermine Princess Diana's parenting reputation by casting doubt on her abilities to adequately care for the princes. This included suggesting she was too unstable or emotionally needy to provide proper structure, distorting relatively normal incidents into negligence, or implying the princes would be better off under the full custody of King Charles. While likely exaggerated, these narratives tended to emerge strategically when Princess Diana gained sympathetic media coverage as a caring, hands-on mother devoted to her sons. By attacking Princess Diana's core identity as a mother, the palace had a powerful means to discredit her in the eyes of the British public. However, it also risked backfiring by making the monarchy appear cold and unfeeling towards Princess Diana's relationship with her children. These are 15 of the most prominent allegations and reports that have surfaced over the years about the extreme lengths Buckingham Palace and the royal family supposedly went to control and silence Princess Diana. While we may never fully understand the truth behind these complex personal dynamics between Princess Diana and the royals, it's clear Princess Diana faced immense challenges in finding her voice and sharing her side of the story before her tragic passing. Even all these years later, the princess still captivates the public imagination, and many feel sympathy for the isolation and pressure she endured under the royal spotlight. Let me know your thoughts on these allegations about the palace's treatment of Princess Diana in the comments below. Do you think the royals went too far in trying to silence her? Or were they just protecting the monarchy? Be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more captivating videos. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, bye!